Hello, I'm Hugo Austin and welcome to Graftcast, the show where we delve into the minds of some of business's biggest leaders and entrepreneurs. On today's show, we're talking to Andy Axtell, who owns his own franchising business. We talk about his journey into franchising, owning a franchise, and the power of networking. Stay tuned for today's show. So today I'm joined by a man whose professional journey has taken him through lots of different phases and now finds himself at the helm of his own franchising business. Andy Axtell, welcome to this.
Thanks for having me.
Can you just let us know a little bit about your upbringing and how that's led to now? Basically?
Okay. Well, I'm 57 years old, so it's quite a long story. But I was born in, I say East London, but Barking, Essex, Ilford Way, and one of 7 children, so a nice big family. Over the years, it's been a fairly standard life, I would say. I had a good schooling. We moved out of the London area and moved up to Hemel Hempstead when I was quite young, finished my schooling, went straight into employment. I was always into engineering and had a long career in sort of sales, engineering, product management, that sort of thing, before leading to where I am now. So yeah.
Cool. Was there a particular time then that sort of led to you wanting to have your own business or become an entrepreneur?
I think I'm a typical person that says, all the way through your career you say, I could do this myself, I could do better than my bosses or anything like that, which is not true. Obviously I've had some fantastic bosses in the past, but you go through life thinking, okay, well, what if I did this, what if I did that, could I do this myself? And there was a specific point in my corporate career where I thought, actually, now's the time. Also, I'd seen my brother was doing a similar sort of role, so that got me interested in it, and those sort of things aligned to that point. Yeah. Yeah.
So you have family members that have also got businesses and stuff like that. Yeah. What is it sort of about their personalities that makes them sort of entrepreneurial, if you like, or a good leader? I'm not sure we're typical entrepreneurs and leaders as such. I think the whole of our family, my family, brothers and sisters, are all very similar sort of character. Whereas we're sort of people. So we get on with people and we like to help, and we like to. We're personable, stuff like this. So it's not so much I want to have my own business and I want to be successful and I want to be fantastic or anything like that. It's much more about, actually, I want to give something back. I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to enjoy life as well. Okay, because part of running your own business, a lot of people say it's hard work and you never get any spare time. That's rubbish. You're working for yourself. Well, why don't you? You should make time for yourself. So it's very much more of a lifestyle thing. So I don't see myself, my brother's in a similar sort of role as I do as well. Neither of us are sort of sitting there thinking we've got to be the best of the best and we need to be fantastic and all this sort of thing. We do a good job, but it's much more about the people and the lifestyle. Sure,
I think,
definitely. So educationally, you went to college, or what happened after school, basically?
Actually, I went straight from school into an apprenticeship. I must admit I wasn't a lover of the education system. It served the purpose and I did okay at school. But as soon as I had an opportunity to leave school, I wanted to, so go into a career job. So when I left school, there was plenty of apprenticeships around. Not sure if they're quite so popular now. But back in my day, it was the way to, when you left school, a lot of people didn't have the opportunity to go to university. That was more for the elite or the people with money. So I had no aspirations to go to university or anything like that. But there was college work as an apprentice. There was college work to do. So I started off as an electronics engineer apprenticeship, a place called Lucas Aerospace in Hemel Hempstead. Yeah.
And did you work your way up there? Did you get to a?
Well, it's an apprenticeship, so you do a period of time. Once you got your apprenticeship, then it's you could have stayed on in a career in that business, or I actually moved out and went to a small engineering firm and was working on the tools for a number of years. Yeah.
And did you have any role models growing up? Who did you look up to?
Well, I had older siblings, effectively. So if I looked up to anybody, it would be my brothers and my sisters and my sister. So you tend to do that at the time. If you ask me, did you look up to them? No, of course not. They're my brothers. They're annoying. They're all this sort of thing. But actually, when you look back at it, they do sort of guide you, and that's where your life goes toward. Probably more than my parents per se, but sort of obviously your brothers you're quite close to them, so you can't say that.
And that really does lead on to the next question, because I was going to ask about your family, but sort of they've had quite a big impact on sort of how you've maybe grown up, or did they impact your professional career a lot? Or?
Once again, do you analyse that when you go through life? Do you analyse and think, okay, this happened in my life with my brother and sister? They're just part of your family. So I think on a day-to-day basis, you see them, you hear from them, that sort of thing, and you obviously get your mannerisms, your way you are. It comes from the whole of your family and the people around you, as well as friends as well, and family afterwards as well. Yeah.
And so, moving sort of throughout your professional career, was there a time that you thought, well, I've had enough now, I want to do this, I want to take the leap and have my own thing?
Yeah, there's a couple of stages. I went through a divorce at one point. I won't go into that in a great deal of detail, but I went through a divorce, and after that, sort of career sort of took a back step. Really, I was working for a living, but wasn't really enjoying it. I got together with my partner, who I'm still with now, and we actually gave up work and went travelling for a year, and got out of the country and sold up and backpacked around South America for a year. So that gave me a different sort of view on life, if you like. Sort of work was not that important at that point. It was more about living life. And when I came back, and obviously I had to work, I had to make a living at some point, but it was very much more about doing stuff I wanted to do rather than stuff I had to do. And I've done various jobs since then, and each time I've always said, look, as soon as I stop enjoying it, it's the time to get out. And it got to the point in the corporate career where I thought, actually, I'm not enjoying it for some reason. And there was a specific case that point in time where I said, okay, now I understand why I'm not enjoying it, and I need to do something different, completely different. Do you want me to go into that?
What weren't you enjoying about it?
Well, it's the rat race. It's the going into work, just doing the same old thing all the time. Pleasing your bosses more than the customer, if that makes sense. I'm very much a people person, and I wanted to please our end customers. I wanted to get closer to the customer. And we actually it was a Danish company at the time, and we had a conference. They got all our team together, there's probably 50 of us in the room, and they got some key customers to come in and talk about them and what they needed from us, and etc., etc. And at the end of it, they asked us to write on a piece of card, what do you get out of this? What are you going to take back? And they said, write it on this card and put it on your desk when you get back to your office and live by that. So great, I put on my card, I want to get closer to the customer. And I looked at it and I went, I'm not going to do this in the corporate world. This is not going to happen. I need to find something that gets me closer to the customer on a day-to-day basis, where I can help people and enjoy not only my work, but I enjoy helping other people. And that was my turning point. That was like, I've got to do this.
Okay. and throughout that time, had you always had that sort of, we say this word so many times on this show and in general, entrepreneurship. And then some people hate it, some people like it, some people just use it normally. What does that word mean to you?
I don't class myself as an entrepreneur as such. I think I'm super impressed. People like yourself that have actually said, you know what, I want to start my own business, and I'm going to start it from scratch, my own brand, I'm going to do this, and without any real assistance. It's pretty much your own thing. I bought a franchise at the end of the day. I bought a business in a box. Some people say that with franchises. A lot of the stuff was provided for you. A lot of the training was given to you. Still supported by the franchise on a day-to-day basis. It's much easier. So I wouldn't class myself as an entrepreneur. Other people would. People say, yeah, but you're still starting up your own business. A true entrepreneur to me is somebody that's, you know what, I thought of a new idea today, and I'm going to do this from scratch and start up from scratch. And so that's me. That's true entrepreneurship. I'm a semi-entrepreneur. I've started my own business, but it's within the safety net of a franchise.
Sort of leads really well into the next bit where we want to talk about franchising. For those that don't know, and there might be people that are watching this who perhaps don't know all the sort of opportunities or paths that they could take into owning their own business. What is franchising, sort of?
Okay, yeah, so franchising, you've normally got a franchisor, so you've got somebody that's come up with the idea. Yeah, so in my case, it's websites. So somebody's come up with the idea of we're going to sell website packages, website platforms, so they can actually help businesses with their website and online presence. They then say, right, okay, there's two options for that company. They can either employ salespeople and pay those salespeople to go out and sell those products, or they offer the business model to people as a franchise. Yeah, and they basically buy into, it could be an area, it could be products, there's various different franchise models, but they're basically buying a part of that business. Yeah, so they're buying the brand, they're buying the support, maybe the marketing. It really depends on the type of franchise. And they almost hit the road running.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of the things already in place, so they can actually get out there and just start to build their business with, I would say, easier than somebody that's got to start from scratch and literally do everything themselves. Yeah. Does that make sense?
So I worked for a franchising company before, one called Neighbourly. They own a load of different sort of home services brands, from one called Dream Doors to Bright and Beautiful, which is cleaning and everything like that. So do you have is there like a HQ that has all the people that are doing your marketing, people that are doing all that sort of side of things?
Yeah, in our case, we have our headquarters, and that's where the brains are, if you like, in the business. So we have a technical coding team, and they build all the sort of the software and the framework behind the websites. We have our design team, so they make everything look good. So it's all well. I find customers, and I talk to those customers, and I help them with their vision, and I describe that vision back to our team, and then they do all the magic.
Make it happen.
They build the website, they do all the code in the background, make sure it all works. Put it onto the domain, sort out the domain and email side of it as well. So. They do a lot of stuff to support us. Now, if I had to do that myself, if I started up a web business tomorrow and had to do all those elements as well, I would be buried in the computer. And there are people that do it, and that's fantastic, and hats off to them. They typically charge a lot more because there's the quantity is lower for them, but that's just a different business model. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And what attracted you to that business model then, that franchising business model?
There was two things. First of all, I would say is my brother was doing exactly the same franchise, and I did have the opportunity to start earlier, and I hummed and hawed about it, and I lost the opportunity. So when it came up again, I snapped it off. It literally said, this has become available, I'm doing it. I made a decision there and then, I'm doing it. This is happening this time. And I've seen my brother work with it, and he's always had good things to say about it, but you always want to hear from yourself. Now, with this franchise, it's easy. They go through an induction process. They don't just say, great, we'll take your money. You start doing it. You go down and you meet the team. And you meet, it's not just meet the directors either, you meet you meet the coders, you meet the design team, you meet the marketing team, and you meet each of the people individually. You sit down with them, I can't remember, it's 2 or 3 days you spend with them to make sure you're right for them and they're right for me. And that really gave me a great feeling to start with. So obviously I had the knowledge that it was going to be good anyway from my brother, but also having that sort of peace of mind that these people it's not just a numbers game. They're not just trying to fill seats. They actually want to make sure that you're going to work and it's going to work for them. So the onboarding process was spot on. It was really fantastic.
Brilliant. And so obviously from my experience, there's franchises that ask for quite a lot of money up front, and obviously the return is going to be quite significant with those ones. And then there's sort of the lower end of the spectrum, I suppose. I don't know if you want to disclose how much.
I don't mind. It's probably changed over time as well, so because the business model changed. I mean, a lot of people don't know. A lot of McDonald's are franchises.
Sure.
And if you want a McDonald's franchise, you've got to have a lot of money, but you can earn a lot of money as well. So it's all swings and roundabouts. With this franchise, I think it was quite reasonable. I think from memory, mine was between 10 and 14,000 to buy the franchise, and then you pay £100 a month, which is the ongoing support fee and stuff like that. Right. So it's for me, I think is actually very reasonable for the support you get and the type of franchise it is. I would recommend it to anybody. We're always looking for new people. We've just taken on, I don't know, 4 or 5 people recently, actually, with new franchisees coming in. So it's a great company to work for. It's a great product at a reasonable price. So when you get all those things align, it sort of works, doesn't it?
And I guess you have, lots of people dotted around the country and have different sort of radiuses and different, okay, cool.
And that's another good thing about this franchise, where you have a protected area.
Sure.
Some other franchises say that, okay, there's your franchise, you've bought that area, but you're not protected, so somebody else can actually sell into your area, and you've got no protection against that. Or they might take on 3 franchises in one locale, so they're competing against each other. I didn't want that. No. Ours is a protected area, so you get postcodes, and any sales in those postcodes are your property, which is, I think it's a good feeling as well.
Definitely.
You know they're not going to bring somebody else in and then try and compete against yourself. You've got that, your protected business area.
Is there any sort of key things that, I've looked at your LinkedIn and you've been doing it for over 5 years now. Is there anything that was a learning curve or anything that you've learned in particular from franchising so far?
In what way, sorry?
Just in sort of professionally, is there anything that a mistake that you made or something like that you didn't realise was going to happen, or anything that you've particularly learnt from in franchising?
I don't think there's anything that stood out. I came into it with a fairly decent, long career. So I wasn't coming into it naively. I've had good conversation again with my brother that did the same franchise. I understood how I wanted to run the business. I came into it running, if you like. I went straight into networking immediately. I started doing it, so I needed to find business, and I just did it my way. In one respect, I would say the coming out of the corporate world and then working for yourself. Okay, I see people on a daily basis, I do a lot of network, and I see my customers, stuff like that, but you do feel a little bit isolated, I think, at times. And I think anybody running their own business can feel a little isolated. I think you need to get yourself out there and get away from that feeling. So that was something to be aware of. Apart from that, it's been fairly smooth. I would say fairly smooth, if you ignore COVID.
Okay. Was that quite a significant time, COVID?
Actually, we weathered it quite well. I think we were in the right business at the wrong time, if that's probably the best way of putting it. So the fact that people couldn't get out, we're a digital business, we could do everything online, we could still help our customers. You had a lot of customers that were re-evaluating their businesses during the COVID because they had to. When there's a crisis, my old boss used to say this, when there's a crisis, spend your time and money on marketing. You market your way out of a problem. Because if you just sit there and go, shut the doors, that's it, it's game over. Whereas if you go, right, okay, this is a time where we need to spend more time, effort and everything in marketing, then you're more likely to come out of it stronger. So even during the COVID period, we didn't suffer. I think probably we didn't grow as well as we could, but we certainly didn't decline, I don't think, because of that period. Yeah.
You talked a little bit about your networking there. I've been to a few networking things and seen you at all of them. So that's a bit of a networking king. Could you just tell us a little bit about when you started networking, what sort of you get out of it, and go from there.
Well, as I say, day one of starting my business, in fact, 2 weeks before my business started, I was looking at BNI, which is one of the biggest networking groups out there, and a position became available. It's a lockout group, so the website seat became available at the Milton Keynes group, which I wanted to be in. So I rang up the director. I said, I want that seat. Can I reserve it? I'll be starting in a couple of weeks. Can I reserve it? You can only reserve if you come and pay. Right, okay, when is it? It's tomorrow morning. I'm there. And I turned up that day and I said, right, where's the application form? I'm joining. Partly because, I'd heard about the reputation. I'd been to a couple of meetings with my brother previously, just to see what it's all about. And I thought, what better way? I've come out of this corporate world with thousands of employees and you're seeing people every day, to work in myself. Now I could sit in my office and on a computer and think, well, what have I done with my life? Or I can get out there.
And I think networking is the best opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
You've got other people in the room who are in a similar situation to you, or have been in a similar situation to you. And it's a great way to get out there and actually start talking to people and finding, okay, it's not just you out there on your own. There's hundreds of businesses out there and hundreds of small business owners that are in exactly the same position as you, and you can learn from them, you can help them as well, and it just becomes a community. It's almost like an extended corporate business, if you like. Even though everybody's got their own businesses, it's almost like being in that corporate world with your board of directors and all this sort of thing in a room. It's just fantastic. It's a great start.
What would you say to people that say, oh, networking doesn't work, I do cold calling, cold email and cold messaging?
Some people prefer that. I think any marketing is good. Same as any networking group. I hear people are critical of some networking and not of others. And I always say, well, no, any networking is good, because you're meeting people, and then it's how you go to those meetings and how you use those meetings, and it's not about just going and selling to the room. It's going there and meeting people and building up those relationships and become known. As you say, you see me at a lot of these meetings. I'm sorry about that, I go to quite a few.
Don't apologise.
But it's what I enjoy doing. It's you're meeting people, and some of those people you meet, it leads to business. Some of those people you meet, you help them with contacts that you've met elsewhere. There's been emotional problems where you get in talking to somebody and you find out they've got something, they just want to have a cup of coffee and a chat. What better way to help people? It's fantastic.
Exactly.
And it's not always about the sale. It's about the relationships and building your network. And
it might seem a little bit obvious, but I've found that you are very well connected because you go to all these meetings. Like I'll say, oh, I can't remember the name of this person, and you'll be on it straight away. You'll which group are they part of? I know them. This is
and again, that's about building those relationships. And it's I've been doing this from day one. I've been running this business for 5 years now, and I've been doing networking from day one. At my peak, could be doing 2 or 3 networking groups a week. That varies, and it depends what groups you're going to. So you do get to meet these people. You get to trust these people as well, because not everybody you meet is fantastic. We'd like to think they are. And I always gravitate towards the people I think are good at their job or nice people. There's something I said to my brother a long time ago is, who is your ideal client? He said, well, nice people. and that works in networking as well. You go to those meetings, you gravitate towards the right people, you have conversations, and actually the people out there are all the same. They all want to be not your friends, but they all want to be influential in your business, and you want to be influential in their business. And I think that's a good way to be.
So there is help out there, basically.
Sorry?
There is help out there, basically.
There's always help. There's always help. Whether you want professional help and say, I need help with copywriting, therefore can you recommend a copywriter? I can recommend 4 or 5 copywriters that I trust and know they're going to do a good job for you, or social media, I should say social media, shouldn't I? There's plenty of people I know that would do that, or there's also people out there that are just a good person to chat to, who have been through the mill, who know a lot about life and business, who you would trust to have a chat with, and I think that's good as well. So I think it's almost like, it's not a support network, but there's no harm in getting support and getting affirmation from people.
I agree. So going to the ones that I'm a BNI member, and being someone that is just works for himself, I'm a one-man band at the moment. It's good to go and have a team to go to at the end of the week and talk to about your problems, and even just chat to.
Don't talk about your problems.
Exactly. Business problems, not personal problems. There's not many of those. Is there anything that you would tell someone that is looking maybe to take a jump into franchising at some point? Is there anything that you would say to them before they went?
Pick the right franchise. It's when you go for a job interview. They always say a job interview is 50% you being interviewed and 50% you interviewing the company you're going to work for. And it's exactly the same with a franchise. Yeah. So a lot of it's not necessarily just about the financials.
Yeah.
It's about the culture, the ethics, the products. There's a lot of things to think about. We get a lot of applications from people that just want to buy a business. Yeah, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about, do you fit? Have you got the right qualifications or experience really to do that role? And then go into open-minded. It's I've only bought one franchise, and I think it's been a good success. If I'd have bought 3 or 4 and there'd been 3 pups in the past, I'll be able to tell you what to look out for. But certainly do your homework and make sure you have good onboarding process. It's not about just somebody sending you a form and applying.
Yeah.
It's about, okay, let's meet, let's talk about it. What's your ethics? What's your product like? How are you going to support me, etc., etc. And covering everything before you jump in.
Great. Is there anybody that inspires you professionally? So, like, are you a keen listener of any sort of podcasts? Or do you watch any videos? Or do you on LinkedIn or whatever? Do they annoy you, or do you have someone that inspires you?
I don't think there is anybody. Whenever you go to a lot of these meetings, often people will say, "Have you read so and so? Have you seen so and so's podcast, etc., etc." I'm not an avid follower of anybody. I would say I dabble, and I would look at something, and if somebody's pointed a certain podcast or a blog or something like that, then I'll go and visit it. But I won't suddenly say, right, I'm going to follow this person to the nth degree. Because I think if you do that, you end up quoting the same person, the same rules every single time. There's one, I won't say the name, but there's one name that always comes up. Have you read such and such? Have you followed this person? Well, if we all follow the same person and all follow the same...
I think I can guess who that might be.
And there's say I've not followed him, so he's probably fantastic. Everybody says a lot about the guy, and that's absolutely fine. But if everybody follows the same guy and follows the same ethos, then surely we're just going to be all doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like to be myself, and I like to follow my own path, if you like.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So how do you stay motivated and driven? Is there any goals that you have to set yourself? Or is there any? How do you stay?
I get paid. Yeah, I mean, we've got targets. Even though it's a franchise and it's your own business, there's expectations. So we have targets, and we need to meet those targets. So just from that point of view, you get up at the beginning of the month and say, right, okay, I need to this many calls to make this many leads and create that many sales. So that's the easy bit. The harder bit is, because you're working for yourself, is okay, what am I going to do today to do that? So am I going to get up today and write a blog? Am I going to get up today and do some social posts? Am I going to get up today and make some phone calls or do networking? And that's you've got to sort of allocate your time to make sure you're hitting as many touch points as you can in your business to make it succeed. And including admin as well, because you've also got to make sure your accounts system's up to date, and you've bought stationery and all this sort of thing as well. So it is the whole picture.
So small wins, would you say?
If you get up and say, right, I'm going to spend a whole week on social media, you're probably going to miss other opportunities. So you've really got to sort of say, right, okay, let's compartmentalize, can't say that word, my week to make sure that you cover all the elements.
So do you have any advice for someone that is looking maybe to get into networking?
A lot of people I speak to, especially if they haven't been to networking, they're nervous about going. They think if they're going into a room of people they don't know, they think they're going to be out of place, they don't think they're going to be able to fit in. It can be quite nerve-wracking. I never suffered from that, because I'll walk into a room anywhere and just start talking to people. But my advice to people, you need to do it, you should do it, especially if you're a small business. But what I always suggest to people is go into the room, look around the room, see one person that you think, I could chat to that person, and then go and chat to that person. So then all you've done is walk into a room and spoken to one person. Ignore the rest of the room. Don't think I'm walking into this room and I've got to speak to 50 people. I'm walking into this room and I'm going to speak to one person. Because you'll speak to that one person, and assuming it's a member of the group, they'll probably be happy to chat to you and stuff like that. And then somebody else will join the conversation, and then somebody else will join the conversation, and then you'll move off and you'll move into another conversation, and it just happens like that. Yeah. So it's that first conversation. If you can walk in the room and think, I'm just going to look at one person, go to that person and just start talking to them, ask them about their business, take an interest. They'll do the same to you, and then over time, you gravitate, and before you know it, you've spoken to 20 people in the room, and you don't even realise you've done it, and it's fantastic. Yeah, but it's that first element. Don't go in the room looking at 20, 50 people. You're going into looking for the one person you want to chat to, or you ask the person that's booking you in or the person that's invited you, can you introduce me to somebody? Even better way. Can you introduce me to somebody? Yeah, no problem. I'll introduce you to so-and-so. Have a chat.
Because you usually find with those closed groups that you have been invited by someone to join that group.
Yeah, a lot of the time, But I've done a newsletter recently saying to people, or to my customers, saying, look, if you don't do networking and you want to do networking, let me know. I can introduce you to groups. I can come along with you if you're nervous. I'll come along with you. I'll introduce you to a couple of people, and I can then stand back and just see them go out and start talking to people, and I love that. I think it's a great way to get people started.
Cool. Well, we have a closing sort of tradition, let's say, for this podcast, because this is only the second one. So we're doing ABC questions, so you choose A, B or C, and then we'll choose the question.
Okay, all right.
Which one would you like to go?
Oh, sorry, could choose a question. Let's go A.
A. If you could invite 3 people to a dinner party, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Wow. Well, I must admit, this is not somebody I've normally picked, but actually, with the Olympics being on, it's reminded me of a hero when I was younger, which was Alberto Wantarino.
Okay.
He was a Cuban runner, 4 and 800, I think he did. They called him White Lightning at the time. So when I was young, and I was a 4 and 800 meter runner, so he was out and out the best in my age. You're too young to remember. You look him up. Alberto Wantarino, fantastic runner. So he would definitely be one of my invitees. I think I'm a big Apple fan as well, but not Steve Jobs. Bill Wozniak, who is one of the brains behind the Apple thing as well. I think he's a fascinating person. I've read his book. I think it's fascinating. Him as a person behind the Apple business as it built up would certainly be another one. Oh, third person, I don't know. That's a tricky one. What else have I got in?
Dead or alive, remember?
Yeah. Prince.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah. I've got a concert ticket to go and see him at Nebworth, and he cancelled at the last minute, and I was so gutted. And obviously he's passed now, but I think he'd be a fascinating character.
How's your Spanish for the Cuban boxer?
Sorry?
How's your Spanish for the Cuban boxer?
Well, I spent a year in South America, so I did learn Spanish. Don't test me on it, but I can get by.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Andy, for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
No problem. Thanks you.